Picture dawn over a baray at Angkor, mist lifting from a broad, still mirror of water, the smooth embankment catching the first light, and the stone towers beyond seeming to float in that reflected sky. How did a landscape of seasonal floods and rice fields become the setting for one of the largest engineered systems of the medieval world?
Welcome to Ancient Echoes, where we dive deep into the heart of Cambodian culture and history. I'm Richana Soul, and joining me is my co-host, Samnang Bradley. Today's episode centers on a simple question. How did water help build the Khmer Empire? And how did that water shape not only livelihoods, but memory and meaning?
In today's episode, we'll explore hydraulic engineering at Angkor, what barays and canals are, how they were constructed and managed, and why water was both a practical resource and a powerful cultural symbol. We'll cover engineering basics, social organization, ritual dimensions, and the living legacy of these systems. Consider this your guided tour through the history of Angkor's waterways, with practical takeaways and resources in the show notes for deeper reading.
The promise is big, but the story is grounded. The layers matter here. Seasonal monsoons, rice cycles, and the choices people made to store and move water over centuries. Let's unpack that, starting with landscape and context.
The Khmer Empire emerged in a place defined by the monsoon. During the wet season, rivers swell and flood the Tonle Sap floodplain. In the dry season, water becomes scarce. Angkorian engineers turned this cycle into an advantage. They built enormous reservoirs, called barays, long canals and dykes that smoothed seasonal variability. Think of a baray as a man-made lake, often rectangular, sometimes many kilometers across, acting as both reservoir and symbol. The largest, the West Baray, is roughly the size of a small modern city. These features rewrote the possibilities of large-scale rice cultivation and urban living in the Khmer world.
Historically, the word hydraulic city captures how water infrastructure defined Angkor. Temples, roads, and towns sat within a managed landscape. The evidence comes from stone inscriptions, old maps, and crucially, modern LiDAR surveys that revealed canals and settlement grids hidden under jumble and soil. The research tells us that Angkor's urbanism wasn't just monument-centered. It was an engineered landscape at scale.
Let's dive into how these systems were actually built. Barays and canals required massive earth moving, embankments of compacted soil, often reinforced with laterite or stone where available. Workers cut canals to link reservoirs and direct floodwater to fields, and sluices regulated flows. Construction used seasonal labor cycles. When fields were flooded or between harvests, labor could be mobilized. Inscriptions and comparative studies suggest coordinated labor mobilization, a corvée system, where villages contributed labor to state projects.
Archaeology has teased out details without losing the human story. LiDAR has shown networks of habitation platforms, roadways, and water channels that fed towns and farm clusters. Recent excavations reveal wooden stakes, compacted layers, and sediment sequences that tell us where engineers placed foundations and how they managed silt. That evidence helps us understand maintenance cycles. These systems needed upkeep, desilting, and seasonal repairs, so water management was as much social organization as it was engineering.
To explain the technical side simply, most canals were shallow and wide, optimized for slow-moving monsoon flows. Embankments were angled to resist erosion, and spillways avoided catastrophic breaches. These are practical, low-tech solutions that scale when many hands cooperate. Imagine coordinated seasonal work. One community maintains a stretch of canal, another repairs the sluice, and together the network functions. That's how hydraulic engineering becomes a civic practice.
What this reveals is how water linked economy and power. Control of irrigation meant food surplus, and surplus supported artisans, temples, and large populations. It also reinforced political legitimacy. Rulers who could direct water flows and ensure harvests acquired both material resources and social authority. The patterns show us the relationship between engineering and governance in the Khmer world.
But water was never just practical. It carried meaning. Many temples were sited and oriented with water in mind. Moats and barays framed sacred spaces and evoked cosmic waters in Khmer cosmology. Public rituals, seasonal festivals, and communal workdays tied people to the rhythms of water. Oral traditions and living practices, processions, ceremonial offerings, and harvest celebrations preserve echoes of those older patterns even today.
The cultural significance of Angkor Wat and its water features is layered. A reservoir can be infrastructural, symbolic, and spiritual all at once. Listen closely to villagers' accounts of working along canals, and you hear practical tips and reverence mixed together. The elders taught us that water is a connector between people, between seasons, and between past and present.
Turning to contemporary lessons, these ancient systems offer ideas for sustainable water stewardship. Conservation today involves preserving the stone temples and also the broader engineered landscape. Heritage preservation increasingly recognizes that protecting Angkor requires attention to hydrology, protecting catchments, restoring damaged channels, and working with local communities. Scholars and practitioners recommend interdisciplinary approaches: archaeology, hydrology, community engagement, and policy working together.
The legacy is practical too. Modern planners studying Angkor's barays see principles that matter for flood management and seasonal storage. We must, however, be careful about drawing simplistic parallels. The social contexts differ, and any modern application must respect local knowledge and contemporary livelihoods. From a cultural standpoint, the deeper story is how people and place co-evolve. That perspective should guide conservation and development alike.
If you want to learn more, our show notes point to accessible resources: recent LiDAR studies, overview books on Angkorian hydrology, and field reports by Cambodian scholars. For visual learners, Samnong's YouTube channel includes aerial sequences and annotated maps that help the engineering come alive. We'll link to UNESCO materials and community-based projects working on wetland restoration and heritage documentation.
Before we close, let's reflect on key takeaways. First, water was foundational to Angkor's scale, both materially and symbolically. Second, the hydraulic network depended on coordinated labor, maintenance, and social institutions. Third, preserving Angkor's heritage means protecting the living landscape, not just isolated monuments. The research shows us both ingenuity and the human relationships that sustained it. That's the heart of the matter.
We hope this hour gave you a clearer sense of how water shaped the Khmer Empire and continues to shape Cambodian cultural memory. If this episode sparked curiosity, check the show notes for further reading, maps, and links to Samnong's visual guides.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Ancient Echoes. We hope these stories helped you see Cambodian history and culture in a deeper, more human way.
The echoes of the past live on in people's voices, memories, and everyday lives. Thank you for listening and for making space for these stories. If this episode resonated with you, please follow Ancient Echoes on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who might appreciate these conversations. You can also connect with us and share your own stories or questions at Sam Nang Bradley on YouTube and our social channels. Let's unlock the echoes of history together.
Until next time, thank you for listening to Ancient Echoes.
In the quiet of night, I whispered my plea, holding her close, hoping for her decree. I called upon spirits, asked them to guide, to take her heart and lead her by my side. So I drew her near, traced her brow so fair on my sight this way. Swahili mighty spirit awaken. By the master's right, let her heart be gently taken. Let her follow me now by vow and by sign. I hear these words, oh teacher, witness this plea. Oh, my sacred power, Swahili.